you. And you have 2 minutes to speak on any item on the agenda. Please state your name and your city or town of residence for the record, please.
Hello, my name is Noelia M. Chafoya, and I'm the parent of a kindergartner in our district. I'm here tonight in support of GB 3-269 and CNP-5-5. My son is 5 years old. He was born just 3 weeks after our country shut down in 2020. Like many parents during that time, we were forced to make decisions about screen and technology far earlier than ever intended. Technology was a necessity, not a philosophy. In our home, my child does not have devices, is not an application, and his only screen exposure is the occasional show or movie, often in Spanish. I knew we were a one-to-one district, but until my child began kindergarten, I did not realize this extended from preschool through 12th grade. I learned this, I've watched my own child use the software, and I learned that when my son was in school, a classmate figured out how to access Google, a kindergartner, on their assigned device. Soon after I heard about ST Math and other digital programs, I learned that kindergartners required to spend 20 minutes on gamified math software that is not part of the core curriculum. I have watched my own child use it. When I see it, I don't see deep learning. I see level chasing, point scoring, and trial and error. He remembers the score, not the math. That should concern us all. Everyone in this room learned how to read, think critically, solve problems, and communicate without this level of digital exposure. We did not just survive, we gained the foundational skills that allowed us to adapt to whatever tools came later. Technology did not teach us how to think. Thinking taught us how to use technology. AI and digital tools focus on increased productivity for adults and experts. Our children are not adults, and they're not experts. They are learning. If tools help teachers behind the scenes, that's great. But when they shape lessons, assessments, or feedback for our students, they stop being helpful and could potentially become harmful. So I leave you with these questions. What independent proven data shows these tools benefit our students at their ages in our district? What are we being measured against? Teacher-led instruction or convenience and engagement? And if the data does not exist, why are our children being asked to bear the risk? If you do not have a clear, verified evidence of benefit, not potential, and not promises, then I urge you to stop, pause, and reassess. Our children are not test subjects. I think we can all agree to that. They deserve classrooms built for learning, not logging in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else here for public comment?
So you want me to speak on my petitions now?
Yes, please. Yep. And just name, city of residence, and the petitions that you are speaking on.
I just want to confirm I get 3 minutes, right?
3 minutes. As a
Okay.
petitioner, you get 3 minutes
Thanks.
for each one, if you want to do math.
I'm not good.
Okay, all right, it's up to you. Go right ahead.
Good evening. My name is Ashlyn Doyle. I live in Worcester. I'm here tonight to speak on the public petitions I filed last July. Last spring, I learned that the district had been piloting an AI reading tutor called Amira Learning. That tool records and retains student voices and uses those recordings to develop its AI model. One of those voices was my child's. I was not informed and I was not asked for consent. I learned about it months after the pilot had begun. This matters to me because biometric data is fundamentally different from other student information. An email address or ID number can be changed, a child's voice cannot. Once biometric data is collected, it can be retained indefinitely, repurposed, or transferred if a company is sold. Families have very little visibility into and even less control over what happens with that data over time. If my child's voice is going to be recorded and shared with a third party, I believe I should be told. In reviewing the district's own privacy agreement with Amira, there was no disclosure that student voices were being recorded and retained. I only learned about it after reading Amira's privacy policy online. For me, this was a breach of trust. I was also surprised to learn that district student data privacy agreements allow companies to use student data to train and develop AI products, as long as that data is de-identified. Ethically, this is deeply troubling to me. My children should be able to participate fully in public school, including using technology, without serving as a data source for corporate product development. What I'm asking for is clarity around procedures and oversight. If the district decided tomorrow to introduce a system that required fingerprints to get on a bus or log into a Chromebook, what would the approval process look like? Who would review it? Who would be informed? Right now, it appears decisions involving sensitive biometric data can be made without family notification or school committee oversight, and that is concerning. While interpretations of federal law allow schools to consent to data collection on behalf of parents in educational settings, that does not replace the need for meaningful communication or strong local policy. I respectfully urge the committee to advance these petitions, answer these questions, and help build a process that families can trust. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just your name, town or city of residence, and what item you're speaking on.
Yep. My name's Leah Evans Wong. I live here in Worcester. I have 3 kids in the Worcester Public Schools. And I'm speaking in support of the petitions that Ashlyn Doyle just mentioned. I work at UMass, and I learned recently that we have all sorts of cool AI there, and most of the data stays at UMass. If UMass can keep their data at UMass, and it's not just patient data, it's all data, that seems like a sort of bare minimum for a school district. I'm concerned that if we aren't telling families what we're doing with their children's data and not giving them the choice, the ability to choose, we're not teaching families how to approach technology either. So this is a huge opportunity to help families understand how these applications work. I see it in my office all the time with families on all sorts of social media apps with no thought to the worth of what they're putting out there in the world. And this is a way to sort of bring it home, both to the kids, protect them, but also to let families in and understand that this is worth something and it's worth protecting.
Thank you very much. Not seeing anybody else here. Madam Clerk, is there anybody online that would like to speak?
Yes, there are 4.
Okay.
Keith Lanieri's
Okay.
first.
Mr. Lanieri's name and place of residence and what item you're speaking on? Can you hear us?
Just got unmuted.
There you are. Good. Yep, go right ahead. Name and town or city of residence?
Yeah, Keith Linares, 1 Germain Street, District 1, Worcester, Mass. I'm calling to express support for CMP 55 and 56. I also wanted to offer comment on the Chromebook one from Jermaine Johnson as well. I don't have the number right in front of me. But I'm a parent of a 2nd grader and a kindergartner. I also have a 3-year-old daughter who's going to begin matriculating in 2027. I'm just concerned in general about, the potential for sensitive information like my, daughter's voices, their habits and activities being tracked on these applications that are used inside the classrooms. And until I saw Ashlyn's petitions, I really had no idea that this was even a possibility. I mean, I know that there were all these apps that were getting used all the time that the kids spend on their Chromebooks. But the idea that this information could be used in order to boost some algorithm or used by some ed tech company to turn a profit. It's really troubling to me, and I think I've mentioned this to a few other people who have also voiced concerns about we don't really know. Data is breached so often. My children have already been part of. I want to say they've probably something like $200 or $300 in the bank from all these class action lawsuits that they've been a part of for data breaches at UMass, data breaches at the Portland, Oregon Zoo. It's kind of ridiculous, and the idea that some sensitive information could be collected. I know there's restrictions on PII and all this, but anyways, I just want to voice support for those. And then in general, related to Jermaine Johnson's petition, I wanted to offer comment. I recently saw an article in The Economist magazine. It's not some radical newspaper. It's a neoliberal pro-capitalist magazine that essentially made the case that a lot of this ed tech is essentially money wasted. It doesn't generally prove that good results have come as a result of it. Bill Gates, I guess, I'm going to paraphrase kind of the end of the article, but he said something like back in 2013, it's going to They take 10 years to figure out if all this ed tech is worth the money. And they've spent, collectively, school districts in this country have spent hundreds of billions of dollars on ed tech. And I just want to leave you with the thought that, imagine if this money could have gone to teachers instead of, a bunch of apps that, really get our kids nowhere. So thanks. And I want to give support for Ashland's petitions.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Amanda C.
Please state your name, place of residence, please, and what item you're speaking on.
My name is Amanda Cronin. I live in District 1 on Salisbury Street. I have a second grader at Flag. I'm here to support Ashland Doyle's petition. I already have very little understanding of how much electronic access my second grader has. And the idea that her voice and her thoughts are being recorded to train AI to be used without her consent, without my consent, is deeply troubling, particularly because as a society, we can't even manage AI safely as it is. If we're going to introduce AI to children, it needs to be in a thoughtful manner. We need to teach them safety around AI and critical thinking. And so I support Ashland's petition. I think Worcester Public Schools really needs to reconsider this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, the next person, please.
It just says Zoom user.
What is it?
Zoom user.
Whoever is listed as Zoom user, can you please state your name and your place of residence and what item you're speaking on?
Sure. Sorry, I couldn't rename myself. My name is Heather Stanek. I am a resident of Worcester, and I am speaking about GB 3269 and CNP 5-5 and 5-6. I'm not sure how when the district is responsible for obtaining caregiver consent to share some of the same biometric data that Amira and other third-party services collect, save, and potentially share, and use to train AI. They are not required to do the same for apps and other online-related educational tools. We're asked for our consent every year about whether or not we allow the district to share our children's images, social media, and for marketing purposes. Should we not be allowed to do the same for any other services that collect and share or use biometrics related to our children? Parents deserve the final say in what information, images, and audio of their children are shared, used, or sold regarding them, period. The Amira privacy policy clearly states, and I'm quoting, "When a child interacts with the Amira app, we collect recordings of the child's voice. We retain recordings of the child's voice when collected from our in-school experience. These recordings enable our AI-driven algorithms to understand their reading strengths and areas where the child would benefit from more practice, evaluate their progress, and customize their experience. We also use these recordings to improve our AI models and the Amira app. I am disappointed that the district's response says that Amira does not do these things. I'm also unclear as to how the district approves technology-based learning without input and approval from the school committee, thereby bypassing any open meeting where caregivers would be allowed to ask questions, state preferences, and lodge complaints. Finally, speaking as a special education parent, technology-based learning is not always what is best for my learner, although there are times that it is incredibly useful. My son often has an incredibly hard time with SD math, requiring parental help multiple times a week. We are more than happy to provide this help, but it is possible that this type of learning is not the best way for all scholars to learn. And as a district-wide initiative requiring all scholars to get at least 50 puzzles per week, should we not look at more inclusive ways to teach students than a one-size-fits-all app? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, anybody else?
Yep. Dina Tedeschi.
Mr. Tedeschi, name, place of residence, and item you're speaking on, please. You may be muted, I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go right ahead. Thank you. Name,
Thank
place
you.
of residence, and item, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Dina Tedeschi. I'm a Worcester resident and the parent of a Worcester Public School graduate and a current 8th grader. My comments today are regarding GB 3-269, CNP 5-5, and CNP 5-6. I question what is considered age-appropriate technology, as well as the amount of time and use. I'm concerned we've lost focus on what and how kids should be learning with their hands and their brains. In a research article published in September 2024 in the journal entitled Frontiers in Public Health, researchers explored brain development in children and key factors affecting development, behavioral outcomes, and school interventions. The article discusses the importance of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math, and suggests tangible and real experiments, drawing and model making, as enhancing brain connectivity for optimal learning. Nowhere in this or other articles I researched did I read about how devices enhance children's brain connectivity. Now, we are all well aware of how technology and devices are simply just part of our existence and part of our everyday world. I think if you would ask any pre-K or K educator, they would likely say that they would prefer their students to use crayons and scissors to build brain development over drawing on a device. I know I preferred my children to do that. I'm concerned like other parents who spoke tonight about collected biometric data and how and why this is being captured, how it's being used. It's a major concern for us as parents. The ethics and clarity are lacking. This is essential and critical for trust and safety from parents and caregivers and for our students. It feels like there's an effort to catch up, but without really looking at the effects and consequences, including unintended consequences. I would like to see the petitions by Ashlyn Doyle discussed and not filed and moved forward by this committee and the school committee. We, and that means the school committee, Worcester Public Schools, and families, need to be attentive and concerned about AI and devices used in schools and by students. Other folks have already talked about this evening, and I want to echo the others' concerns that have been shared about the thoughtfulness and impact of AI. And just a brief quip, let's recall how baby Einstein was touted as the best thing for your child and how to learn, and that became not a complete sham and is not something that we want to educate our children with. Again, just want to reiterate that how important these petitions are to be moved forward and not just filed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Trevor Standish.
Standish, name, place of residence, and item you're speaking on? Might be on mute.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, name, place of residence, and item you're speaking on, please.
Yes. My name is Trevor Standish. I am a Worcester resident, and I'm speaking on CMP 5-5 and CMP 5-6, brought by Ashlyn Doyle. I just wanted to really emphasize the importance of these two items, and I wanted to thank Ashlyn for petitioning those. I myself am a parent of two children in Worcester Public Schools and also one who's graduated. And so I think just in general, privacy and specifically privacy of minors is of the utmost importance. I think we would all agree upon that. But where I think my perspective is maybe a little bit different than other people is I actually lead a technology company that is solely responsible for a lot of information, both of adults and minors, and it includes making, writing, and implementing both technology and policies that do exactly what was raised in the petition. And ultimately, there are a lot of problems with not having consent of parents in this process, both from the parents and the students' perspective, but also from the school district perspective, because ultimately, not only, if I'm a big proponent of technology, but ultimately, if you're implementing, having a policy in which it says we're de-identifying information for the purposes of training AI, ultimately that biometric data actually cannot be de-identified for the purposes of voice or fingerprint or a video. And so there's ultimately inherent risk of exposing actually the children to data breaches that was mentioned before, and it's actually not even with their consent. And I'll go into mention is that there is no mention of data retention policy, and so as far as I understand it, the recordings of these children can live in perpetuity in these systems without any of the parents acknowledging it. So I would strongly advise, as someone who does this for a living and knows the legal implications, the technical implications, that all parents should be consenting to this because a minor cannot understand the implications of a terms of use, yet alone most parents, and how it could impact them for the rest of their life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any other? Yep.
Naj, N-A-J. I think I'm saying that right.
Naj, can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please state your name and place of residence and what item you're speaking on, please?
Yes, my name is Audra Saishi Lindsay, and I'm a Worcester resident. I'm also a parent currently of 2 students in the Worcester Public Schools, with one who will be starting in the fall. I am speaking on the items brought up by Ms. Ashlyn Doyle, as well as Jermaine Johnson. I will start with the one with regards to Jermaine Johnson. I am very concerned about the fact that some of the data is not really being looked at how much time is being spent on Chromebooks by our students and the effects that it is having. And I do not feel, especially from the pre-K age, that children as young as they are should be using Chromebooks as opposed to using their hands and their brains to be able to think and to be able to learn. That is not a good way to start their educational journey. And I feel we're doing more harm than good by allowing this to be standard process in the classrooms. Additionally, speaking on what was brought up by Ashlyn Doyle, if we are as parents able to consent to whether our children are allowed into a healthcare class, I don't know why we were not even given the common decency to say, hey, are you okay with this kind of data being collected about your children? Similar to what Trevor just mentioned, my husband is in this field, and we know firsthand how detrimental it is to be able to collect such data. It is not one and done. The minute it is collected, it is going to continue to be used. So I'm speaking from a troubled parent perspective that we were not made aware of something like this happening. And I certainly know my husband certainly would not consent to our children's voices or any sort of biometrics being recorded, especially for children being as young as they are. So I ask that this move forward as well and not just be filed. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Kat Holmes.
Ms. Holmes, name, place of residence, and item you'll be speaking on?
Hi, my name is Kat Holmes. I live at 11 Seminole Drive in Worcester. So my perspective on this is, as a parent with a pre-K student last year, I asked some questions and found it surprising that informed consent, not just consent, but explicit informed consent did not seem to be a priority. And then when questions were asked, as some other parents have pointed out, about evidence and reliable evidence that's not from marketing or the companies themselves to reassure us, but from independent sources, should be included in that informed consent, I think is important. So I actually ended up unenrolling my child because I was quite uncomfortable with what was happening, and I personally think the most important thing for my 5-year-old is interacting with humans and not AI. I'd also like to just add in that sometimes equity is brought up as I don't know how to say this, but like that's something that is a really important factor, and access should absolutely be given to every single child and every single family that needs it and wants it, but that doesn't preclude informed consent for every family in the district. Both of those things should be able to happen, and have every child be safe and have an effective learning experience and also have what they need and require. So I'm speaking in support of CNP 5-5, 5-6, as well as keeping Member Johnson's item GB 3-269 open for further exploration and for more information to be forthcoming in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk? All right, seeing no other folks for public comment, I will close this part of the meeting. I also do want to say thank you to, we did receive a number of emails from parents, community members on these items as well. Just want to recognize the fact that they were received and we did take them in. Thank you very much. We will be addressing, going out of order here, just for reasons to be able to kind of move forward for the administration. We're going to go forward first with the two items being placed together, GB 6-10 and GB 6-10A. The first is to approve the proposed course additions for the 2026-2027 school year. The second, 10A, will be Member Biancaras made a motion in regard to the articulation agreement. We have